Good evening and welcome along to another episode of Not Another Rangers podcast. An international break and you'd think things were going to go all quiet, but not at our club. The captain of the sinking ship Titanic looks set to be heading to Turkey before the iceberg is hit. Does this now offer us the chance of changing the narrative? Eminem and Dua Lipa had hits with Houdini, and the Rangers version of Houdini, Dave King, done his reappearing act again this weekend. Was it substance or just more shite? Joining me to discuss that and more is Mr. Scott Kerr, Ricky Forbes, JD, and Mr. Ross Clark, the famous five this evening. How are we, Scott?
I'm all right, Dave. I'm all right. Glad to be back. Fed up watching international football, but glad to be back.
And Ricky, the captain of the best five-a-side team going the new, mate. How's yourself?
Captain, I'll take that, Captain. No, very good, mate. I'm glad this international piss is over. Back to the real stuff. JD.
Half his back and started yet.
That's a bad start, man. Bad start.
JD, how's yourself?
Resigning the armband.
I'm all right, aye. It's good to get back. You can't be bothered with international break, can you? It's
mud.
Although you kind of then forget what we were putting ourselves through prior to the break, so we need to strap ourselves in, don't we?
And Ross Clark, how's the house move gone for yourself, mate?
Hellish, mate. That's why I'm on here.
I'd take some time off, get that wallpaper sorted, man.
That's coming off, mate. That's coming off. Your missus wasn't complaining when the headboard was banging off it right enough, but aye. It's wood chip, mate. Floor to ceiling wood chip in the gaff. So I've been peeling wood chip for the last 2 days. So Cole again breaking the trend for Tim's is away for a bath. I went just stay in there for 2 hours, man. I'm going to talk to the boys and get away for this nonsense. So that's good.
We're delighted to have your company. So let's get right into it. I think the first place we'll start is with yourself, JD, because Philip Clement, I don't think is pulling the wool over most supporters' eyes at the moment. I think if we just talk about the last 7 league games away from home, so we've had Celtic in the 3-0 loss, Hearts, nothing each, first game of this season, Hearts, 3 each, last game of last season, Celtic beat us 2-1 at Parkhead again. We beat St Mirren 2-1. We drew with Dundee 0-0 at Dens, and then we get beat 3-2 at Ross County. So that's our last 7 away days. 3 defeats, 3 draws, and 1 win. Now, that's no form for any Rangers side, but certainly no one that's going to be challenging for a league title. Where are we going under Clement?
That's no form. See if that was form in any other league, not split over 2, you'd be so concerned about that. So, but it led up to that as well, and it looks like it's going to continue. So, very, very worrying. That's got to change now. I said it during the week, or was it the other day on Twitter, like the thought it's got to change now. It can't continue. When does it end? Is it another 3 or 4 away games? Maybe pick up 1 win and a defeat and 2 draw. That just can't continue. We need to start winning games. It's got to be about winning games now. I don't care who it is. Celtic's going to be difficult for us because they are streets ahead of us now with the way we are set up to play and the way they are set up to play. We need to do a big change around when it comes to that day games. But running the mill SPFL games, we've got to be winning all of them now.
Ross, if we analyse it in depth, are we seeing anything on the pitch now that we can cling on to? I know we've got the signing Bezrami that seemed to be sort of rushed last day of the deadline deal, but then you hear the club were working on it for 2 weeks prior. It looks like he's not going to be moving away for this number 10 he likes to play with the 2 guys wide. But are we actually seeing any patterns of play, any signs of progression that things are working for Clement? Because I think we have to look at how things went under Michael Beale, and they started off okay, but went south very quickly, and it seems to be following that repetitive pattern. You see any signs of positivity?
No, I don't think any players since they came in have got better. For me, that's the mark of a manager. He's not really getting a song at anybody. And I think he's very much benefiting from the fact that we're now at the stage where we're saying you can't just keep sacking managers. I think he's benefiting for that because the run-up form we're on and the win percentage over our recent games is sackable. I mentioned the first time I was on the pod that I think him and the board have agreed that this season's a write-off and try and build a team and hope that Igamani and these new players are going to come in and have a year gelling together, and then as of next year they'll kick on as a unit and you'll only need to add 1 or 2 to that. But as I said then, and I say again, this is not a season to be doing that. This is a season when all the signage comes down for Ibrox. If you're not the world's most successful football team or the most successful team in Scotland, as the fans think, this is not a season to be playing the games. Because I would be taking the players a stadium tour, the new, saying, look, do you realise what all this means? Do you realise what's at stake this season? Because they're not playing like it. Is that down to the players? Is it down to the tactics? I think a bit of both. But the worry for me is I can't think of one player who's improved, but I could tell you a handful, 5, 6, 7 that have regressed in the time that he's been in.
Now, on the point that Ross makes there, Kerr, about regression, if we look, I think our captain at the minute, who does seem to be leaving, we'll sort of touch on him in depth later on, but he's one player that you could point to say there's a been considerable drop-off. Again, the mix in the back line, I look at John Suter next beside anybody, and it doesn't look comfortable or settled. I think the only time we look sort of settled in games is when Balogun plays, and he can't play often enough. He's at an age now where we can't rely on him due to his own physical issues. So when you hear the old adage that managers build for the back, it seems to me that Clement hasn't done that. So are we really kind of up shit creek without a paddle at the moment?
Probably. I think it's all down to the manager. I think we've seen some of it last season in the Motherwell game when we get beat to Ibrox and it kind of went tits up for there. But I think the manager doesn't take responsibility sometimes for his own decisions, for his own actions. I think you can see the way he judges some of the players but doesn't judge some other ones. So, listen, I agree with Ross, and we've said that ourselves. I think Clement's going to see the full season. I don't think the board are going to make any harsh judgments on him this season. I think he will see the season out. After that, anything could happen because that's what happens in football. But I think he will see the season out no matter how the season goes. I think that contract extension actually proves that. They probably said just see straight in the season. It's going to be no great, but we don't want you to leave, so here's extra dough. But if we sack you, we'll give you less to walk away. Maybe, I don't know, but he's still picking the same players who's not playing well. He said when he do that, he's still pinpointing some players. He's not pinpointing others. I don't know how much he's had to spend. These are all a bit the same as me. Has he get buttons to spend? Has he had more than that? I don't know. We've spent £100 million, haven't we? And we bought in Bugami as well. So on top of that, but I don't know. But the manager's got to look at himself because his tactics don't work a lot of games. But he doesn't change it. You said it yourself, Dave. He's still sticking with the 10. That's great. If you've got other players around about it, that can work off it. But it's not working for us. It's not working at all. And I'll say, I know you're going to talk about Tavernier later on, but all I'll say is, see, Tavernier comes out the side, nothing's going to dramatically change anyway. It's not going to change. It's not going to make it 100% better. We're not going to go on a winning streak. So I think that's just he's just the scapegoat at this moment in time. But the manager's got to have a serious look at himself, but so did the board. But I think the board know that, and I don't think the board are going to listen. Would you trust this board to pick another manager? I don't know if I would. So we're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. We don't know what direction we're going.
No, you make an extremely fair point there, Kerr, in regards to the board and how they pick a manager, and we'll certainly touch on the board in depth later on as well.
Davey, sorry, can I just jump in on what Kerr was saying? Now, Kerr was saying, like, and everybody thinks it's probably we're giving him a season here, but that's all right. But if the fans turn, see if we lose another 3 or 4 games, he won't see it through. He can't see it through, and it's again the board will need to have wangled something within that contract extension, which me and Kerr probably agree on. I think there's definitely little clauses in there that will protect us, hopefully, if the disaster does happen. But I can't see him getting the full season if it continues in the vein. That away form continues for the full season, Davey. He will get sacked. He needs to get sacked. So maybe not just now. And if we pick up and we stay within touching distance, then fair dues. Let's give him the third season like Gerrard got. But if it doesn't, then you can't see the full season out regardless.
No, that's a fair point. And just while you raised that, JD, going forward, we've got Dundee United this weekend, and then we've got Dundee at home in the Cup, then Malmo away, Hibs at home, Lyon at home, St Johnstone at home, and that's all before the next international break. So if you look at that in the league, it's Dundee United away, Hibs and St Johnstone at home. It's got to be 9 points or nothing less, or his job is severely under pressure. Do you agree?
100%. Senior day games, I know there's a couple of tough, sticky European ties in there, but I'm expecting full points in the league there. I know Dundee United have started well, but we need to go up there and beat them. They've just been promoted. We've got to go and beat them. I couldn't handle it if we don't get a result against them. So, they're winnable.
Ricky, if we touch on the squad as it looks, Clement told us towards the end of last season that he was expecting us to see signs of improvement in terms of fitness. We'll look sharper. He'll sort out the medical department. But if you look at that performance against Celtic in the Old Firm game that's just went there before the international break, our players were chasing shadows almost the entirety of the game for the 10th minute onwards. And there was a distinct lack of fitness, but also, which I think is unacceptable at any Rangers team, there was a distinct lack of effort. So who does that fall on? Who's at fault for that? Is that the manager that allows that to happen?
It's a bit of both, a bit of the manager, a bit of the players. But I saw a graphic yesterday with 8 games to go last season. We'd played the same games as Celtic and we were 2 points clear. And our team turned into a clown car. The wheels fell off. It was an absolute disaster. And they won 8 out of 8 matches. And ever since then, it's like Clement has never, ever managed to get it back. The form has went downhill very, very fast. And it's like he's been unable to turn it around. But the games that are coming up, he has to turn it around fast. And he has to get these players playing for him. And how he does, as you speak about with the Celtic game, this is what's causing a lot of his problems. The way he spoke after the match, he said about the fitness, he said about the injuries, he said we were going to see this team play well in October. He's putting pressure on himself with these daft statements he's coming out with, and his comments after the Celtic game just got him in a whole world of trouble. So I hope that he learns his lesson and he's like sort of a bit more smarter and a bit more savvy the way he talks to the media at the weekend, because it's not just the performances on the pitch that are getting the fans up in arms about him. It's the stuff he's saying off the park as well. So he needs to improve the form of the team, and he needs to improve what he's saying in the press conferences as well, because right now everything's a total disaster and the fans are at absolute boiling point. We saw that after the Old Firm game, and that's not going to get any better unless we start seeing results. The only way that'll turn around and the noise will disappear is if we beat Dundee United and then we go on a bit of a run, and that's what we need to see now from the team. A bit of freshness as well. I'd like to see a bit of freshness, you know. I honestly think that guy in the black, he's probably picked Tav for the Dundee United match because he won't want to drop him now if he's still at the club after that happened to him, which is going to be unfortunate. But we need to see a freshness in the team. We've got these new players, so hopefully they support the players that are already there and the team can kick on and start getting results.
JD, if we look at the situation, as I said, Dundee United away at Tannadice is the next game up. Now, that is a team that's just been promoted, but currently they sit above us in the league table. I think they're a point in front of us at the moment. Now, that can't be anything less than 3 points, and I know in Steven Gerrard's last season at the club, he lost there 1-0. But if Philip Clement doesn't pick up 3 points in that fixture, do you think, and I know we should carry the positive momentum if he gets the win, that's all we're wanting. But if we do not, get a positive result in 3 points, is that the straw that finally breaks the camel's back?
I don't think it will be, because I think it's still probably too early in the season. But I think if you probably get through September and maybe lose a game, draw a couple or something like that, then get into... The problem is, what Ricky's saying, Clement said a lot of things, and that's how you should be judging him. That's what we should be judging him on. The things that he said he was going to do, like the fitness wasn't good enough, I'll make that better. Then the medical room wasn't good enough, I'll make that better. Judges by October. There's three things. Fucking fitness is terrible. Injuries is terrible. Let's judge you in October. Where are we going to be? If we're 7, 8, 9 points behind Celtic at that point, then he's failed in everything he said he was going to do. So I don't think the Dundee United game will be the straw that breaks the camel's back, but it could set the tone for the rest of the month going into October, where he said, judge me in October. Right, we'll judge you in October.
But Ross, I mean, you can't, judge anything in October at Rangers. It's game to game. That's how we live. Every game matters. Every 3 points matters. And I don't know if anybody at the club has addressed this with Clement. I understand we're all saying that this is going to be a transitional season, but you don't get transitional seasons at Rangers. You have to win. And, coming to form October, November, December is no good. That doesn't win you any trophies that matter. So do you think the pressure we us been back in the stadium will see that sort of atmosphere transcend onto the park and the message might become more clearer that, this matters now and you really need to fix this or you won't be here much longer?
I think getting back to Ibrox will make a difference. I think obviously you'll be back to playing in front of full houses. There will be a good atmosphere run about the place. But to me, everybody knows when they sign for Rangers what they're signing for. They know that a draw is a terrible result no matter who you're playing. And as a Rangers fan who's grew up watching successful Rangers teams, even a draw against Celtic, it wasn't a good result. You always want to win every game. You're going to play Lyon, Spurs, Man U in the conference, the Europa League, and Rangers fans, I've seen somebody in the chat already. I reckon we could beat Lyon and we could beat Malmo, but we're here talking about whether we can beat Dundee United. So I don't think it's anything to do with the fans. I don't think it's anything to do with atmosphere. I think it's just we've got a team of shithouses that are just, they pressed Celtic, right? They pressed Celtic last week. They done everything they were asked to do, and the first time Celtic broke the press and scored an offside goal, they absolutely shat their pants, and that's what happened. They shit themselves. They wanted to stand off. Now, is that the manager? Because the manager obviously set them up properly. My three dogs are snoring at the side of me, by the way. I don't know if you can hear it. But they absolutely shit their pants. As soon as they scored the offside goal, we retreated into our shells, back to the way we have been for the last 2 seasons against them, every time. Getting back to Ibrox, is that going to change that? Is that going to change every time a ball comes across our goal, our fullbacks sleeping at the back post for a striker to get a run in on them? Is it going to change the fact we've not got a mobile number 10? I don't know. Is the new boy going to come in and be the mobile, all-encompassing number 10 that we're expecting and hit the ground running by October? Or is he going to not even be in the team for the next 3 weeks because he's been away in international duty, so he's not done enough training with the squad? These are all, as JD, these are all situations that Clement's created for himself because he said a lot and he's not delivered on much of what he said. You look at Matondo. Everybody could see Matondo was injured in the Old Firm game. He plays on for another 15 minutes after he's injured and now he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Did the medical team on the bench tell him he was fit to keep playing? Or did they make that choice himself because he's scared of what he's got on the bench? And by the way, when McCausland came on, we seen what he had on the bench, which was nonsense as well. None of our players are built for it anymore. You've not got there's not one player in Rangers squad for the last 2 seasons who's been into an Old Firm derby and excelled. There's not been one where you could say he was a solid 8, 9 out of 10 a day. Because it's just a calamitous collapse every single time the pressure's on. And at a full house at Ibrox, when there's a bit of expectation, you could be the same thing. If you go a goal down to Hibs at Ibrox, we could fold as well.
Davey, see what Ross is saying as well. And there's a lot of, it's the board are taking a lot of flack and all right, rightly so. But none of this is the board's fault. And folk will say, but the players aren't good enough. We've spent money. Clement's spent money. This is Clement's team now. He's brought in a couple. He's brought in players. We've shipped out all the folk we wanted out. This is his team. So the board, and there's a lot of stuff, but all this stuff that Ross is talking about, this is the manager's job, the head coach's job to fix the mentality, fix the tactics, fix the play, fix all this, who plays. That's not the board's problem. The board have backed them. Would they need a lot of investment? Aye. They need more money? Aye. But if we don't have that the board also can't give them more money that we don't have. If the money's not there, it's not there. So we're working on a shoestring. We've managed to bring in an Albanian international for what I've seen looks very good for about $3.5 million. That could be an absolutely cracking deal, by the way. But the buck stops at Clement because everything that Ross has just said is the manager. It's his doing. It's his fault. It's his thing to fix. So it's him.
No, and I think, Ross, you made a great point in regards to the injury with Matondo, because we've already seen the first game of the season. He'd done exactly the same thing with Oscar Cortez at Tynecastle. We could all see he was humped after the first initial challenge, but he chose to bring him out and he didn't last 5 minutes in the second half, and the same thing happened again. And I think, if we look at this, there are patterns in Clement in the way he conducts himself that I think shows that he doesn't deal well with pressure. And I think that is the sign of a Rangers manager, how you respond in adversity, how you deal with, fighting in the trenches. And every time there's been a dodgy result, you see him get sort of arsey with the media and at the media conference, and he'll throw out flippant things. Like the Birmingham City pre-season, the performance was atrocious, and that's where he threw Todd Cantwell under the bus. So we've seen this multiple times. I think it really worries me that it's a recurring theme with Clement, that he just throws these grenades constantly. Is that the way you're seeing it, or am I being too harsh on him?
No, he done very similar to Monaco, didn't he? With pressure come on him, he chucked a few of their players like with the same under buses and didn't want to play for him, and then he came out with different excuses, and Monaco won the long and sacked him because I think they finished 6th or 5th that season. They said enough's enough. So he's got previous as well. So listen, he's come in, he's a stubborn guy, he's going to always think his way is the best way, and every manager probably does that. But I think sometimes as well, as fans, we need to stop looking back and saying about previous Rangers managers. Previous Rangers managers have been Michael Beale and Giovanni Van Bronckhorst, remember? I mean, but because we're having to look back further and further. So we're going to have to stop. We're a big club. We don't act like a big club. We're not playing like a big club. We've only won one league out of it. 10, 12, I don't know what it is. I lost count. But so I think there is a transitional period for the club, and I think we're going to have to maybe just take a couple of punches in the chin before this starts to go forward. And if that's with Clement, act with somebody else, and GD's right, and we all know we've not got a lot of money. The money you can't make out of thin air. We don't want to go back down the roads of buying guys when you can't afford them. We have overpaid for players. We have over wages wise has been atrocious for the last couple of seasons, and the board have obviously tried to downsize and say get the wage bill down. And we all knew it needed to come down. So we're going to have to be more clever behind the scenes, especially the scouting department, and bringing guys in that maybe we've not heard of and thinking, right, we'll go for this guy because we can see something in him that can do a job here and there. And just because you've not heard him doesn't mean he's not a good player, and go down that route, because I think we're going to have to go a different route. David, we can't keep looking back. That pisses me off, keep looking back, because it's like other clubs are doing it, but we do it exactly the same. Every time we talk about Rangers, we do exactly the same, and the years are going on and on and on, and we're still stuck in the same position. So I don't know where the board goes. We can't blame them for everything, but they'll get blamed for quite a lot. But Clement will see a season out in my eyes. I think he will. I think that's why the contract extension is there. But I don't know where this team goes, because there's decent players in the squad. We all know that. But mentality is a thing some of them haven't got. It's because they're not used to it. And I know we say, but we come and play for Rangers, you're showing every game. But that Rangers hasn't been here for a long time. We want it as fans, but the club and the players haven't had that for a long time, because you can see by results. So I think maybe looking at different players, I don't know what way to do. What does Clement do, really? He's going to stick to what he knows. He's going to pick the same players he knows. Will he give guys a game straight away? Will he give them the usual 3 to 6 training session before he pumps them in? I don't know. I've run out of excuses for Clement. I try to guess what he does, because it's very similar. It's like the last game there, the Old Firm game. We all knew the team he was going to pick, kind of, basically what he was going to do. Everybody does. So Will he change it? Probably not. So that's why when players are getting stick, it's no on name. So it is on name some of the mistakes they make, but when the manager comes up to you and says, you're playing, you're not going to say, I'm not playing, Gaffer, because the fans think I'm shite, so I can't play. You're going to play, because that's your job at the end of the day. So he has to get some stick, but I think we're going to have to just see this ride out the end of the season. I don't think it's going to be great. I don't think it's going to be pretty at times. We'll have our ups, we'll have our downs, but I think it's a season we're going to wish finishes quicker than it actually does.
And that's a sad state of affairs to be saying that in the first week of September, or the second week in September. But Ricky, Dave King resurfaced over the weekend, and I always think he strikes me as the guy who was at school that shouted the loudest in class, sort of thing. He's the best PR guy in terms of internal PR is Dave King. Dave King only cares about Dave King. And for me, he was at the club and he took the club as far as he could, and he got out at a time because he didn't have the resources to take us any further. I think that's fair to say, because if he had, he probably would have stayed there. He got out while he could and got good money for his shares and moved back to South Africa. Now, I don't know why he's chose to resurface, but I think it more points to the fact that the leadership at the club now is weak rather than anything, because Dave King shouldn't be doing John Bennett's PR for him, in all honesty, should he?
No, that's it. I mean, John Bennett spoke 2 months ago, and this is, I think we spoke about this before. This is a huge problem with the club. We don't have a CEO, and John Bennett and these guys, they buy Rangers and they feel like they don't need to speak to the supporters. If you are the owner of Glasgow Rangers, you should be speaking to the fans and letting them know what's going on with the club, good or bad, every 6 months. And the fans will respect that a lot more than this silence that we get. And then he pops up once every 18 months and then gives an absolute car crash pre-planned interview to Rangers TV with the softball questions. He should be sitting in, I think there's a Q&A tomorrow with Clement, I believe, the 10th that's going to be happening. So Bennett should be there as well, and he should be taking questions from real supporters about all the issues that's going on at Rangers right now. About Dave King, I mean, he's some man, he pops up, the stuff he comes out with, looking after his buddies all the time. He's got his favourites on the board. He always pulls out the rifle and aims straight for the shot for the people he doesn't like, and then the people that he likes, they get off scot-free, and he's always singing their praises, which was pretty pathetic. I mean, he's a Rangers fan. He says he's a Rangers fan. The fans know what's going on. We've got eyes. We can see the way the team's playing and what's going on. We don't need people turning up from foreign lands to tell us exactly absolute nonsense about what's going on at the club. The fans can see what's going on, and Bennett needs to talk. He needs to let us know what's going on and his plans for the club. This CEO went awful quiet. It was supposed to be this guy from St Mirren, but for some reason that seems to have went awful quiet. But we need these positions filled. All the guys that are at the club now, they need some support, and we need to get the CEO in, and we need to hear from Bennett a lot more than we've been hearing the last couple of years.
JD, that's the problem though. The communication line there for the fans to the board isn't there. It looks like there's disinterest for the board. And I know every November we have our AGM, but it's the same pre-prepared questions that always get asked. You'll get a guy saying, why do we use 2-ply toilet roll in the bogs and no 3-ply? Like, I keep getting shite on my fingers. That's not the main problem. And it's really getting on my goat that we don't address the serious issues at these AGMs to take the club forward, because I think things are about to get toxic, and I think the board are sleeping if they're not seeing this coming, and the fans will react because it's at boiling point now, but it is just about to turn poisonous.
100%. We said that, another few defeats and it's going to be there, and there's going to be nowhere to turn. In regards to the questioning, and maybe a charity event or whatever, they're doing questions tomorrow, Q&A, and the AGM. An AGM's a bit different, right, from a business sense, but I just don't think many clubs, I think that's just the way it is. I don't think you're going to get MD sitting there and holding the manager to account for his tactics, because that's like me working and wherever I work and try to tell a football guy who's been in football since he was 10-year-old how to do his job when I don't. but we like fit when you can see things. So they're just not going to allow people to come out with certain types of questions that are going to make it uneasy for Clement or uneasy for MD. And it's just usually the way it is. So, and I think a lot of football clubs are like that. You've got a couple of the community ones, it's maybe a bit different, but I don't see any of these teams really, they just cut it down or cut it off. So, is it going to get worse? It probably is going to get poisonous, but I don't think, I worry that I don't think they see it coming, which is probably a bigger worry. It's probably a bigger worry in the sense that they should know this is about to happen. Like, see, even that charity event, the more I get it, right, I would pull Clement from it. I know it's maybe an RFC charity event, but I would pull him from it. The last thing we need is sound bites coming out of this, and it will. We'll get sound bites from it, and it's the last thing. We just need everybody just to actually just batten down the hatch. I'd actually prefer to not hear anything. Batten down the hatches and concentrate what's on the park.
I mean, it's not a good look for the club either. I think it's, 38 quid a ticket, and I get it's for charity, but it just makes no sense. We're not having a successful period now. If you're going to do it, at least do it just after you've won something or you're something to shout about. But to do it just after you've lost an Old Firm game during an international break, the timing just doesn't make sense to me. But Ross, if we move on for that and we talk about sort of poisonous vibes, James Tavernier got it in the neck for the fans that turned up at the stadium. And I guess the whole way that transpired was shambolic from start to finish, coming out the side door into the baying mob, walked right through them. And I get the words had to be said. It's clear for me that they're not said for the inner sanctum of the dressing room, but how the club handled that situation, I think, is just paramount to everything we've been talking about and the way things are going. But what's your take on it? Curry Muncher raises the point that, it's not his fault that he sort of left to be there, but is him moving away and going to Turkey the best for all parties?
I don't know. Can you afford to get rid of him when Sterling plays 2 games and then picks up an injury? Who else is going to be there? And that's something that we spoke about during the summer recruitment. You had to go and recruit somebody to at least be an understudy to Sterling. We never done that. We've now had Tavernier, as I said, playing through the pain of some sort of injury, right? We know that. But the likes of that outside Ibrox, like, it does have to be said, but what did you let the other 10 bodies walk by for to wait on Tav? Because the other 10 were equally as heartless and equally as shite. You should have been giving them all it. If you're going to give him it, give them all it, because then it just makes you look as if, it's just anti-Tav again. If you're gonna stand outside and wait on them coming out to shout abuse, let them all know. I get it, he's the captain. I get it, he gives these lame interviews about very disappointed and this and that. But as you guys are saying, Clement's the guy who's putting them in the firing line every week. Clement's the guy who said at the end of last season, Tavernier will not play 60 odd games again this season. How many games have we played? And how many games has he started? Started every game. So the way things are gone, it is going to be playing 50, 60 games because there's nobody else there. And if you let him go out to Turkey, you're leaving yourself, I think, wide open to Sterling dropping down with another injury and missing 6, 8 games. And then who have you got behind him? The new boy that we've brought in on loan potentially could be good, potentially could be terrible. We don't know. I don't know anything about the boy.
But Ross, can anything be any worse than Tav's performances this season? Because I've never seen it be. I've never seen his form being so poor. He shouldn't be playing now. His form is that he's been really bad this season. So you take him out, It wouldn't matter who replaces him because surely you would get either an equal to or a slightly better performance.
But my point is, JD, Tav's no holding a gun to the manager's seat every week to play him. So Clement doesn't think there's anyone else in the building who's better than what Tav's offering you now. That's what it tells me. It tells me that Clement thinks Tav's the best option at right back. Or it tells me he's a shite bag to drop his captain. Now, it's one of the two. So if he's a shite bag to drop him, he's not going to sell him anyway. So what we're talking about is irrelevant. But I think Phil Clement watching the players in training every day and seeing what they've given pre-season when they never really had a pre-season and other boys get games. I think Clement thinks Tavernier's the best option that he's got there because he's under heavy pressure now, and that's his go-to guy. Every week he's got the armband on. Every week he's playing. He's injured and he's still playing every week. So what I would say as well is, imagine many times have you played at amateur or junior football and somebody gives a wee bit to one of your teammates? You're sticking up for them. They're all there's no a bit of heart in any of them. Imagine that's your captain that you respect and you've got some guy shouting abuse at him in the middle of the street. Not one of them even turned around and looked to see what was happening. They just walked onto the bus with their heads down because none of them have got any fight in them. That was the most worrying part for me. None of them. We're on here and you guys were on straight after the night after the game, and you're getting your feelings out there. I don't think discussions like this happen in the Rangers changing room. I think it's just, right, get our kit on, get up the road, enjoy our weekend, and I'll catch you on Monday. We'll look at the videos on Monday and we'll change fuck all.
No, I think you make a great point there, Ross. And Kerr, if we take that on, obviously there's rumours that he's leaving. Giovanni Van Bronckhorst obviously is supposed to be rumoured to be in discussions with taking him to Turkey. What is James Tavernier's legacy? Is the most Rangers thing we've done is that we inducted this guy into the Hall of Fame whilst he was still here, and the reality is he doesn't have a career that marks a Hall of Fame record, does he? He might have been the best player at certain points during his time at Rangers, but ultimately, would he get into any Rangers side in the last 30 years previous to that in his position?
You probably would, Davey. Listen, I think the last couple of seasons, people's opinion of Tavernier's changed dramatically. I think Tavernier deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. That's just my opinion, just my personal opinion. I think you've got to remember when he joined us when on the Championship. So his longevity have been here for a long time. He got us back. He helped us get back into the Premier League. He helped us win the league again. He won the Scottish Cup. He's won a League Cup. He's won a Championship. He's won a Challenge Cup, and he got to the Europa League final. When you're saying he doesn't deserve because he's not won a lot, right? Granted, he's not won as much as other captains. But then you look on the other side at Ali Dawson, who's at Rangers for 12 years. He won 2 Scottish Cups and 4 League Cups, and he's a Rangers captain. And he didn't play the lower leagues. So you have to look at the time that they were at the club, not just because of the trophies. It's different. Everybody looks back at the Hall of Fame and thinks, 9 in a row year or under Walter, it's all these cracking players under Graham Souness coming, all these cracking players. But Rangers were there before that, and we're here after that. So there's guys who played for us who were good players, but maybe not through the times we were successful. So there's different spells you have to look at for a player getting the Hall of Fame. And I think Tavernier justified being it. I do think he's been at the club too long, maybe a year or two too long. I think if he left after the Europa League final, we'd all been grateful. We'd have seen Tavernier's a great player for what he cost us and what he's done. And at Europa League won at the final, he was superb. Highest scorer in Europe, was he not? We were in that league anyway, the Europa League. So I think it's just because he's been here in his last couple of seasons, especially the start of this season, hasn't been great. But I think if you look back for what we signed him for what he's done, I think he's been a great signing for us. And I think if you look back at some other side, my watch Rangers in the early 80s were only great. The late 70s under Jock Wallace's second spell under John Gregg, we were only great. We were finishing 4th and 5th. People forget that, Davey. We all talk about Walter Smith, but we forget about time before that. So we can't slag Tavernier off because they get picked. Because there's also guys in the Hall of Fame who you can also say that about as well. So it's not just James Tavernier.
Ricky, has Kerr got a point in what he's saying? It's good that we've got the sort of second side of the debate. Where do you sit on James Tavernier and his legacy as a Rangers player and as a Rangers captain? Because for me, I look when we get back to the top of the summit and we're, champions. And then from that, there's been a considerable downward spiral. I know everybody lives off of the run to Seville, and that was great. But ultimately, we didn't win anything other than the Scottish Cup that year. So his trophy haul should be a lot better than it is because we did get to the top of the mountain again, but we've just fell as quickly back down it.
Ramsey penalty, mate. If Ramsey puts in that penalty and we win the final, then they're all legends and they're all in the Hall of Fame. My personal opinion, I don't think Tav deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I don't think just because you play for Rangers for 10 years, that should justify you. When you look at the legends that made the criteria to make up the Hall of Fame. But there's a few names in there that are a bit, I mean, Lee McCulloch, does Lee McCulloch deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? He was a good player. Do you think he does, Liam? Okay. See, that's what I mean. It's all about opinions, you know. But I couldn't believe when I was reading it today that Davy Robertson's not in the Hall of Fame. What is that all about, man? Like our one of our best ever left backs. And I saw that today. I used to love watching Robertson when he played for Rangers. So, I mean, to be honest, these Hall of Fame things are like picking your greatest 11. You're always going to have different opinions and different people. You could get 10 people in a room and you'd have 10 different opinions, you know. My problem with Tavernier is his form has fallen off a cliff the last couple of years. And I'll say it right now, if we play Celtic in January and Tavernier is the right back, they will absolutely murder us again. Exactly, repeat. The same goals, the same. As I said, they have Maeda ready. They'll probably put him in a box for a couple of months, bring him back out to play against Tav in the Old Firm game at New Year. We keep losing the same goals, and he's at fault for so many Old Firm games. And as I said before, we had 8 games to win the league last season, and for me, a Rangers captain makes sure that team gets over the line. He grabs them all together and makes sure you get the results to get the victories to win the league. So that's my problem with James Tavernier. So for me, I wouldn't have him in the Hall of Fame, no.
JD.
Like you say, David, John Greig was a Rangers captain and Celtic won 9 in a row. But he's the greatest ever Ranger. So what way do you want to go with that? Because you can slag him for Celtic winning that, can you know then? Because he should have grabbed the Rangers players and said, don't let them win 9 in a row. So it's different ways you can look at things, you know what I mean? You just can't slag one guy and no slag somebody else.
Is the point there, no, that John Greig did win multiple trophies, though? He did.
But you can't look at it just because it's James Tavernier. This is like James Tavernier. It's not James Tavernier's fault, although I said he gets picked every week. But James Tavernier's done a lot of good clubs for this club because he came into Rangers when we won the championship, remember? If we were Nespel, we might know a bottom, but when he came to Rangers, he helped us back to where we should be. Do you know what I mean? And it's not his fault he didn't win the league every year. He doesn't buy players to play next to him.
Kerr, you're acting there as if we should be thankful that James Tavernier came.
I'm just saying.
He was a nobody.
I'm saying we should be grateful for his time here because I think he's been a good buy for us. But I think his time went a good year and a half, 2 years ago, and he's overplayed now and he should be getting back. But I think for what he cost us and for what he's contributed, I think he's been a really good buy for us.
Aye, I think you're right. What I don't like about this whole Hall of Fame shite is, right, who decides, one, and I do not agree that they should be playing at that moment in time. The dust should settle. You should be looking back at it in 10 years' time or something like that and saying, do you know what? All right, the dust is settled. That's what we should be doing, I think, when we're looking at Hall of Famers. Putting someone in, listen, Tav's scored lots of goals. Tav's helped us in a run to a European final. That's all I keep hearing about it right now. And he has scored some great goals. He pulled us out the hole in games. But it meant nothing because we didn't win the league most of the time. That means nothing to me. So I get it. He scored great goals with us. He got to, by the way, European final run. I keep hearing it, but we got to the European final. I'll go back to the Manchester run. I don't hear MD ever talking about, that run to Manchester, we got to that final because we were winning things a lot at that time. So it proves how important it is to win leagues and that over a European run. And the Manchester run was brilliant. We were all down there. It was amazing. The run, the semi-final, the pens, it was brilliant. But we seem to hark back to the Seville run when we talk about Tav and how good he was and they got us there. We don't hark back to Novo and all that. And we do talk about it, but we don't hark back to try to justify how good a player they were because we were winning leagues at that point, and that defines you in everything you do as a Rangers player.
We're talking about transitioning the club. We're not that club anymore because where we've been and where we've come back from. We can't keep letting back. We have to move forward.
But we do need to keep on, because that's what sets the standards, Kerr. Where history sets the
It
standards.
does to a point. It does to a point, but you can't keep looking back, man. I hate looking back, JD, because you want to look forward.
But if you keep looking forward, then you're just going to be happy with second place then.
No, it doesn't mean you're happy with second place. You have to look forward to what you can improve on. Do you know what I mean? But we can still look back at when we won the Winners' Cup, still look back when we won 9 in a row, but we can't keep talking about that because time moves forward, and by the time you keep looking back at that, it's moved another 5 years and we're still stuck in the same place we're now. As long as a big club's done it, and we're not the first and not going to be the last, but there's big clubs out there doing it all the time and you're stuck in a rut, and that's what we are at this moment in time.
By the way, I said that, I do agree. I know what you're saying. Like, we only that club won all these leagues. I get what you're saying, but I think if you lose that identity, then it is like these players that we have now, that they are now happy that we play Celtic. That's like playing Bayern Munich. Oh well, you're never going to beat them. Fuck it. Anyway, move on. We can't ever let that slip in.
Ross, I think JD raises an interesting point, and what constitutes a Rangers Hall of Famer. I think Ricky raised a good point in regards to Davy Robertson. Davy Robertson had 250 league appearances for the club, scored 19 goals, won 6 league titles, 3 Scottish Cups and 3 League Cups. I think that's a career that's worthy of the Hall of Fame and should be in it. If we look at Gordon Durie, he's got 4 league titles, 1 Scottish Cup, 2 League Cups, a hat-trick in a Scottish Cup final. He's not even in the Rangers Hall of Fame. There's 2 guys right there that should be in it before James Tavernier's name was even mentioned.
I don't disagree. There's probably, if you look back, there's probably 20 or 30 players that you would say should have went in before James Tavernier. But listen, who went in? Tavernier, McGregor. Who else went in at the same time?
Stephen Davis.
They went in off the back of 55. They went in on a sentimental. They went in because they were there. They took the club back to where we belong. Top of the country, automatic Champions League. So that's why they got it. It was a nostalgic. Alan McGregor and Davis were legends. They'd been here before. They've come back. They've helped us get there. James Tavernier, as Kerr says, came in the Championship, scored goals, and led us back to 55. And off the back of that nostalgia, they got put in the Hall of Fame, right? The same as Lee McCulloch. If you're telling me Lee McCulloch's in the Hall of Fame, he's in it because between him and Wallace, they captained us back up through the leagues. That's a sentimental one. They're not in for their achievements. They're in for sentimental reasons because they stuck with a club. They came back. They went through some of the bullshit and they got us back to where we want to be. So, see, for me, there's different. There should be different classes in the Hall of Fame. There's people who are in there for their sport and performance, and there's people who's in there for what they've done for the club. Now, James Tavernier's not in there for being one of the best right backs in Rangers history, let me tell you. But he's in there because he gave to the club. He stuck with the club. He stayed when he probably could have moved on. He captained the club back to our 55th title. He captained the club through many trying times. We got to the top of the mountain. It led us into the Champions League. So that's all it is to me. It's no because he's the highest scoring right back in fucking British history because he beat fucking Dennis Irwin or some shit like that. It's no because of that. It's because of the achievement of 55 and him being the guy that led us to it. That, to me, that's what it is. And as I say, you could look back through the history of Rangers and probably, but I'm saying 20, you could probably pick 50 players who you would say are more deserving of the Hall of Fame than James Tavernier. But see, if you go 20 years in the future, see the now, there's a lot of bad feeling around about Tavernier, right? And I get it. It's probably grew on me over the last 2 years because similar to McGregor, who was my hero, I said on various podcasts and to anybody that would listen, McGregor's last 2 seasons at Rangers were 2 seasons too far because then he started affecting team performance. He started costing his points. You look at the Ross County game up there where he dropped 2 right at the feet of the striker and it went 3 each. And that was right after 55. He should have left at 55 and called it a dead end, but he wanted to stay. And that's what's happening with James Tavernier as well. People get too comfortable at this club and we as a fan base, don't want to get rid of him. And that's how players like that will end up in the Hall of Fame. But 20 years from now, you look back at James Tavernier and folk will say, why is James Tavernier in the Rangers Hall of Fame? Well, he scored X amount of goals and blah, blah, blah. See, when you're telling your grandmates, you'll talk highly of James Tavernier's achievements in his first 5-6 seasons at Rangers, because see, the last 2 years, they'll fade away from your memory because we're humans and human nature tells us to remember the good times and kind of discard the bad. That's my opinion on it anyway.
I love that wee psychology lesson there for you, Ross. That was nice. I liked how you tricked us all in there. You think, no, Tav does deserve his place. Well played, mate. Scott, if we look at it, as I said, there's 3 games coming up in the league. We start with Dundee United at Tannadice, and then it's Hibs and St Johnstone. Do you believe we'll get 9 points for the next 3 league fixtures? And is anything less than 9 points? Is that things done? Not just for Clermont, but is that things done with any realistic challenge for the league?
I'm probably going to get abused here again, but I don't win the league, Davey. I don't think the league's a possibility this season just because of the squad of players we've got. I think I said the other day, we'll get 7 points out of the next 3 games, but we've got to beat Dundee first in the cup. We need to get through that cup game, and then we can look forward to the league games. But I think Tannadice will be difficult for us because they will make it hard, and I think we'll probably get a draw there. But I think the other 2 games will win. We just have to take every game as it comes. We have to start winning games and getting more confidence in the side. Clermont's got to get more confidence to these players, and the players have got to get a bit of confidence for him. Because I still see there's issues between him and the players. I know I've said it in the past. I know other folk have said it. But I don't know if everything's rosy in the dressing room. But it's up to him to prove me wrong. But I still think we'll get 7 points, David. I'm more confident enough to say we're going to get 9.
Ricky, I think most of us at the moment are writing the season off in terms of we're not expecting too much. But what constitutes success for the remainder of the season? If we take John Bennett saying that he's all in with Clermont and Clermont's going to last the season, what's the minimum expectation now for Clermont? Is he got to be second and within so many points of them? Now, personally, for me, I think you should always be first at Rangers. And if you fail that, then your jacket's on a sugly peg, as they say. But do you think that they're going to give him this season as a bye? So therefore, what's the points difference that he can't fall below? And must he win a cup to keep his job?
Yeah, I don't think it's Bennett that will decide that. I think it will be the supporters that will decide that, depending on, if things, we're basically in the exact same situation this season as we were last season with Bale, we've got the Aberdeen game last season.
And the season before.
Yeah, and the season before, we've lost the first Old Firm game, we've been trounced 3-0 going on 6, and we've got tough games coming up, tough run of games coming up. We're going to be playing every 3-4 days as well. We're back to Thursdays and then Sundays again. So that's not going to be easy because the squad, as we saw against Celtic at the weekend, when we need to make substitutions, the quality on the bench is just not there. So hopefully these 2 players come in and make a difference, and we start to see. We need to see progress. It's all right saying winning a cup. So what happens? We won the League Cup last season, and then the wheels fell off at the end of the season in the league. So, okay, we need to stop the treble. We don't want them winning all the trophies again, but we need to see progress. So it's game by game just now. For me, it's game by game just now. See progress, get the new players bedded in, start to see a bit of structure, get the defence stronger, get the midfield working, and sort up front as well, because unfortunately, Dessers didn't have the best weekend last weekend. So is he going to be the number 9? Danilo, you've not even spoken about Danilo tonight, He's back to being made of chocolate again. He's going to be out for 6 weeks. So that's a bit of a blow as well. So we're down to 2 strikers already. So now for me, we need to see progress game by game, start getting results. I'm expecting 9 points, 7 points out the next 3 games. We can't go to Dundee United and drop more points. So they've just came up. I don't care how good they're playing or the football Jim Goodwin is playing. It's Dundee United at Tannadice. They've just came up from the lower division. We need to beat them. And then it's 2 games at home. We need to get 9 points for me.
JD,
David, can I come in? See one thing that I think that we're overlooking as Rangers fans, because we're a reactive bunch. See the run of fixtures. So we've played 5 league games. 4. 4 league games, right? You've got beat at Parkhead and you've drew at Tynecastle, right? See if those 2 results happen mid-season. Celtic could easily, Wolf will tell you, he's in the chat. Celtic went to Tynecastle last season and dropped points. Hearts went to Parkhead and took points. See a 0-0 result at Tynecastle, see if it wasn't the first game of the season, and if our club wasn't in shambles for the board and people been doing on the transfers. A 0-0 draw at Hearts, although you want to win every game, probably isn't the worst result in the world, because Celtic have went there in the last couple of seasons and dropped points there. Gone to Parkhead, there's always a chance you're going to get beat. And I get the manner of the way we were beat wasn't acceptable to us as fans or to anybody on the Rangers board, I would hope, right? But the points you've dropped so far in the league are points that I think if they happened after game week 26 and game week 30, and by that point you've averaged it out a season, I think we are still being quite reactive, to be honest, based on the 4 fixtures we've had.
But see that, Ross, is that not just because Clement has been in the job almost a year now? I think it's 11 months, and he's done the same thing against Celtic, 5 times now and not changed it. So I know on one hand you're saying it is reactive, but is it really because we're not seeing like a route of progression there, or a change in the guard, or doing something different, because we're losing the same types of goals in the fixtures over and over again?
That's what I'm saying, that the performances and the shape and the tactics against Celtic was a nightmare, right? 100% get that, and Clement has to sort that, because I don't care if you're Pep Guardiola, if you come to Rangers and you can't beat Celtic over the course of a season, now that's 5 old firms he's had, and he's still not managed to get a win. So over the course of a season, you're not going to last if you can't beat Celtic, if you're the Rangers manager. The only point I was trying to make and have a wee positive kind of outlook on it, because it has been very negative, is that a 0-0 draw with Hearts could be seen as semi-acceptable if it hadn't been the opening day of the season, and if the fans' backs weren't up so much because of the pitiful transfers and all the shit that's going on with Cantwell in the background, Hadji in the background, players gone. You heard Tav was away, then he's back, then he's not started the season well. It's just a boiling pot of stuff. But the likes of Dundee United, like I reckon we'll go to Dundee United, we'll win. We'll go to Dundee in the Cup, we'll win. We're always good in Europe. We're always decent. Europa League being our level, as far as I'm concerned right now in Europe, we're always decent. We're competitive. We got to a final like a couple of years ago. So I think that it's very easy to say, I don't think we'll get 9 points for the next 3 games. But if you look at it the other way, there's every chance you do go and get 9 points for the next 3 games, and there's every chance Hearts take points off Celtic on the 28th, because Hearts have took points off Celtic historically, and they've got to kick into gear soon as well, because they're having a torrid time as well. So I think that Celtic are on a different level at the moment, right? They are. Can't get near them, whether that's through the difference in players, the difference in finances, the difference in manager levels, the fact that Brendan Rodgers can look at that game, see it with a man Mark McGregor, and pull McGregor out and move somebody else in, so that when we're chasing McGregor down into shadows and the game's going on round about us, that's managerial stuff. But the likes of saying you don't see us going to Tannadice and winning, I need to put my hands up, mate. I can see us getting 9 points for 9 in the next 3 games, because I don't think there's many players in Dundee United squad that would get into our strongest Rangers first 11. So by the rights, you should expect to go there and win.
And JD, the final word on things this evening, if we look at the squad in the upcoming games, is the thing that we would want to see as fans a freshness about it. Do something different, change it up in terms of shape or personnel. Let's see Igamani, see if he's good enough to play the boy at right back, Big Cass, give him a game and see how he plays.
I think so. I think after the Old Firm game, he's got to. I think that will again another test for him. Will probably judge how he is as a man manager. As you know, somebody mentioned earlier, he took Goldson at the final when Goldson wasn't playing well, and we kind of knew he was leaving. So it might be time to do something like that. For what honestly, I know we were terrible. He came on the left hand side, but the couple of touches I seen at Igamani, we need to take back. We were worried because we'd never seen the boy, but he looks the player. You can just tell. You can tell right away, and he looks good. And I think someone said that I don't doubt that come Christmas he could probably be our starting number 9. It's going to be interesting to see what his finishing's like, give or take. Whether it looks like he could play for the left, but we've got to freshen it up. If he's ready to come on against Celtic in the Old Firm, he's got to. He can start against Dundee United, but again, it'll be Clement. He'll be managing his minutes. Oh, he's not ready to play 60 minutes. He's not ready to play 45 minutes. And we're going to drag this out. Bejrami, is it going to be the same with him? Just fling the boys in. We need to change it. We get scudded off Celtic. Change the team.
But that's another Clement disaster class. Because Clement told you that we never signed him injured, that he was just taking a while to get up to speed. They'd never trained at that level. But then Andy Halliday can go into open goal and tell the guys on open goal, oh, he's been injured, but he's back training now and he looks a player. I was talking to a few of the players the other day and they told me he looks really good in training. So why is Clement making it as if the boy's never trained at the level Rangers train it when he's got an injury? Why not just be honest and say, look, the boy's got a wee bit of an injury. It's nothing to worry about. He's doing a bit of rehab on his own and then he'll join in with the team. Why? Clement made
every manager, every football manager lies.
But that's what I'm saying.
But don't get caught out then. Don't get caught out lying. He's been caught out lying.
There's telling lies and then there's throwing yourself and the boy under a bus. Because then they've signed a boy.
Don't tell stuff they think will get them through the press conference and come back and bite somebody else, but no idea.
Signed a boy for, if rumours are true, anywhere between 1.5 and 2 million. And he's making up a story that the boy's never trained or played at this level before. And we're all saying on podcasts, everybody's saying on the podcast, why have we went and spunked 2 million quid up against the wall for a boy that's never trained at this level? But it turns out the boy's just injured. Why not just say, look, the boy's injured, he's doing a bit of rehab, he'll be back in the team whenever he's in the team. But not putting a time on it because he's just came in. That was absolutely, this is what I'm saying, you pick and choose what lies you tell. You don't do that with a new signing because everybody's then got a negative on the boy before he's even kicked a ball saying, what have we wasted 2 million quid on this boy for when he's nowhere near the level we need? We've got him in, had one look at him and went, oh, he needs to train on his own. I don't understand why he done that. That immediately put the boy in a negative light with supporters because you've just got humped out of the Champions League because you've only got one striker and we look as if we've bought a boy who isn't up to the level when it turns out the boy's just a wee bit injured and needs a bit of rehabbing.
No, I think that's a fair point and a good place to round things off for this evening. We are well over the hour, so my thanks to Mr. Scott Kerr, Ricky Forbes, JD and Ross Clark. Everybody in the comments, please like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about us. The Friday pod this week will be going ahead on Thursday night, so we hope that you'll join us for a one-off this Thursday night, and then things will return back to Monday and Friday as of next week. So it's goodbye from them. And it's goodbye from me. Good night.